I remember they'd just been down to the Abel Tasman National Park when we sat down and had a drink, and they said that they could imagine living in a place like this, and wondered whether we thought it would be theoretically possible, even possible for them to have a place in New Zealand. Of course we said, sure, you know, that would be fine. There are lots of opportunities to live in New Zealand, but that would be, you know, something that they'd have to explore. They were looking at where they might, you know, how they might raise their family, and obviously they've made some decisions since then.
So
who usually picks you up? I never thought of it in the context of leaving the UK, but more as to whether they might have a home here that they could use. And I know they'd explored the idea of Africa too, hadn't they, at that time?
Yeah.
So yes, it was in that context of saying, well, this would be a wonderful place to bring up children. So it wasn't like, can I help them? Yes, they talked about the idea that it would be a lovely place to live, but I think that's in the context of, you know, it provided the access to the outdoors that they both enjoyed very much, which was good because it was really bad weather, as I recall. So I was slightly worried that they might not have had such a good time, but they did. No, they thoroughly enjoyed New Zealand, and I think they enjoyed engagement with New Zealanders. So. Ceremony. I mean, I'm not going to get involved in royal family business. You know, I hope they're really happy. I thought they were a lovely couple, and I hope they've got a great future where they are. But and then swearing in the new cabinet. And, actually, communication with the Queen is quite touchingly old-fashioned by letter. And so I write to her periodically, and I wrote to her during the lockdown as well. Normally I would write to her a couple of times a year, but I also written during our lockdown to explain what was happening in New Zealand. And similarly, I also wrote to her this year, obviously on the death of her husband, Prince Philip. So I periodically send letters to her, which I know she's pleased to receive, and she has told me on the times that I've seen her that she finds it interesting to have a personal perspective on what's happening. As she says, I'd like to know what's happening between the lines. And there for all New Zealanders, acknowledging the significance. I think that in a way we'd be better off than if we had a dictatorial or autocratic president or head of state. We've seen how that doesn't work in other countries in the world. But actually, because the monarch is much more of a theoretical construct, a figurehead, rather than an actual ruler, I think it gives us a measure of safety, constitutional safety.
But they could over, and have you had a chance to meet with her?
So we saw tragically the funeral of Prince Philip, where they could only have 30 mourners, but you know, there was no question that there'd be any kind of dispensation, even from the requirements for isolation. When, for example, Prince Harry came back to that funeral. So I think they've been great role models to show that this is a pandemic that changes everything. They've been great role models in stepping up and getting vaccinated early, and then they've been fantastic at engaging with the community and with the Commonwealth. The engagement and going out and meeting with people. Yes, I have. Yes, I've enjoyed it as a historical drama.
Yeah.
Mm.
And what
good production values.
Yeah.
And some great characterisations, I think.
Yeah.
But you know, it's not real life, is it? And I know she's got a few of those. And I've been enormously impressed with the breadth of his knowledge, his depth of his well-considered perceptions on a range of subjects, you know, ranging from urban planning to the environment to the impact of religions on the world. Very easy in this job to say yes to everything and then get totally inundated.